Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a research paper from our English honors course by a student, Areli Sanchez. Basically, she covers the emotions felt after reading a text in a book, and specifically Harry Potter. Okay, what did you guys think about it?
Well, I thought it was an interesting thing because growing up, I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter books because my mom thought, oh, you'll be possessed if you read it. So she put so much power. She put so much power into just simple literature. Mm-hmm. So, I kind of just agreed with how she started off her essay, like, oh snap, maybe people do give a lot of power and there actually is some kind of connection between emotions and words.
Yeah, I that's how I initially understood it, that it was like reading impacts you in a certain way, but I don't know, the way she kind of the way it kind of led into it was like more of reading a piece changes your whole attitude and look on stuff.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, I kind of disagree with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And when I was reading through it, like every piece, like I don't know how to explain it. Like really, Harry Potter is a broad range. Like everybody reads it and everything, and you really have to understand the story too. Mm-hmm. In her research, she mentions that it really impacts your feelings. Like it could get you really sad, but you really need to understand the whole story in order to feel that way.
Yeah, like
with the characters,
it's situational, right?
Yeah.
Like I know that if you were to read a story or watch a movie, a character's death wouldn't impact you unless they were like essential to the plot, because if anything, they're just a random death in the story. So yeah,
no, I completely get that. Going a little off topic, kind of validating what you just said about you have to be connected to them. My sister watches The Vampire Diaries, and she's always crying about somebody else's death, and then I walk in and she's like, it's because they died, and I'm like, well, I mean, I haven't been watching the show with you, so it's not affecting me. She's like, why aren't you crying? I'm like, it's not affecting me the way it is affecting you. But then I'm watching Jane the Virgin, and somebody dies, and I'm affected, I'm crying. But it's just kind of like how you said that you have to be with it. You can't just go to like the 7th book and read it and somebody's dying and
you're crying.
I don't think it works like that.
Or even in the case of retelling a story, I like watching sad stuff a lot. I like stuff that makes me cry. So I tell my mom the sad stuff I watch, and then she's just like, interesting. I'm like, you don't think that's sad? She's like, I don't care. I'm like, okay.
I mean, it's a very broad statement, and I don't think it was defended as much with her articles and her research.
But I mean, she wanted to do something specific because like in her sources that she analyzed, I know that in the first source she mentions, her argument is that they were only looking at one emotion in their research, but in this one she wanted to look at general emotions, which was kind of like a very big goal. But in her research she asks 5 people, right? It was only 5.
Yes, 5 people.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, maybe since it's a broader kind of research thing, she should have gotten like a bigger audience. But, like even with 5 people, you could see like a pattern, But yeah, and then another source she used was like, well, 2 of them were kind of similar, where it's like, oh, they're only looking at words. I want them to analyze a detailed explanation, where she includes like, to use the word death compared to a detailed description of someone dying in a story is completely different. Like it's more tragic when you think about it and you're able to describe it with more detail because you had a more detailed explanation of the scenario. Yeah. So what do you guys think of that?
I think, personally, I feel like 5 people isn't enough to determine if Harry Potter in general actually does affect. Like, it's too harsh a claim for having 5 people agreeing with your research. I think getting more people would have been a more accurate way to determine, because with 5 it's kind of like a game of chance, like these people might have already read it or might have already heard about it and liked it from the beginning kind of thing, so it's kind of hard to
Or they saw the
tell.
movies or
Yeah.
something in general like that.
And the movies change your perspective,
Yeah.
kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, she mentions in her research that one person out of the 5 knew most about the Harry Potter books. I don't know if the other people knew about the books,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think that does change it because you already know the situation. So
Yeah.
maybe your emotion towards it would be even sadder than someone who had no idea what was going on.
I think in a way it's kind of biased and not accurate, because like you said, they already have like the background to it, so of course they have that emotional connection to it, so it's kind of already invalidates their answer.
Like, it would have been a nice control group to have like a group of people who have read the books and a
who
group of people who
haven't.
haven't.
Yeah.
Like, the first source did have a control group where they had like, I think they entirely looked at males, over 100 males were given the sentences and stuff. And so yeah.
But I think she would have gotten more if she had a longer time
Yeah.
to make this
Yeah.
research.
Yeah, it was a little
Yeah.
time crunch, but
Yeah, but it was really interesting to
Yeah.
look at because it's like you don't think, well, I think some people think, but not everybody, because most people seek specific words to tell them how to feel.
yeah.
Because if you were given like a very broad sentence, like Spencer died on the night of his brother's funeral, which makes no sense. But then when you think about it, what if Spencer was the one who killed his brother? You
Yeah.
know, is it sad that he died then? Like, you know?
There's no context. I think it needs some background as well.
Yeah, but yeah, and then her conclusion. Did we already touch on that? Her conclusion,
I don't think-
Slightly.
where it's like Harry Potter books in general, they don't, like, it doesn't matter if people like the books or have read them, it would still affect a person's emotional state in some way.
I feel like that's too generalized.
Yeah.
Like way too generalized.
Yeah, I never cared for Harry Potter.
Yeah. Me neither.
I thought it was too boring. My friends were obsessed with it, but I just never bothered to pick up a book. They were
Yeah.
too big, you know?
I mean, also like genre that you're into. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't personally read Harry Potter because I'm more into like the scary or like the thriller,
Oh,
murder
yeah.
mysteries.
Psychological thrillers.
Yeah, so like, but even then, like, I wouldn't say that the deaths in those books affect me either. So it's just kind of like, also depends on the person you are,
Yeah.
not just like how easy you get attached to things. Also,
Yeah, like Final Destination movies are my favorite
Yeah.
movies
Oh,
of all
yes.
time. And everyone practically dies in that movie.
Yeah.
I don't cry when someone dies because
Yeah,
I'm like,
no.
I expect it.
yeah, and it's also like, see, with me, I'm kind of different with that one. Like, I don't cry, but like it gives like it does like bring out an emotion. It's like an anxious, like what's gonna happen, even
Yeah.
though you know what's gonna happen.
Because some people avoid it.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, it really depends on what, because everybody gets affected differently by different things. And I feel like it's way too generalized to say that Harry Potter affects everybody by just like, even like if you don't like it or not.
Yeah.